Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. This is Amanda, and I welcome you with an open heart. So today, I am going to dive into the topic of worthiness, and the worthiness wound. So this has been a topic that has come up from a number of different angles. I feel it very, very prevalent in the collective, this notion of worthiness. I feel that this worthiness wound is coming up to the surface to be healed right now. And this is really one of the core wounds and something that I have been working through and healing for basically my entire journey. I just saw 111. So yes, it feels very aligned to be speaking into this in more depth. I have had a number of people reach out to me in the last however many days, especially the last couple days, and this really interesting heavy energy is coming through that is calling on us to surrender, to trust. But what's underlying the heaviness that they're feeling, the way I have been perceiving and interpreting the energetics around it, is this notion of worthiness, this root, this seed, whatever you want to call it, of worthiness, or a lack of feeling worthy, the worthiness wound of feeling unworthy of love, unworthy of abundance, unworthy of joy, unworthy of living life on your terms, feeling unworthy of having all that you desire. So when there is this feeling of unworthiness, there is this inherent lack. There's this inherent separation that is created, this separation from what we want, this separation from love. Ultimately, that is the root of it. When we feel separate from love, when we feel unworthy of love, we block our ability to be able to receive. So what happens when there is a root of unworthiness is there is this block in ability to receive love, to receive abundance. So there's a lot of layers to this, a lot of nuance, but the healing and abundance go hand in hand. And when I talk about abundance, I mean abundance of all things. I mean abundance of love, of joy, of passion, of pleasure, of beauty, of peace, of whatever it is that you want to experience. And yes, that does include financial and wealth abundance. Money is an energy, so it's an energy of exchange. So it is our medium in this current 3D reality that is a reflection of energy. So when we can detach the energy that we hold around money, we can see it simply as a tool and a reflection of value, of worth. So think about all of these financial terms: worth, value, appreciation. When we talk about money growing, they use the word appreciation. And what does appreciation mean in a broader sense? It means gratitude, but really truly appreciating all that you have in life. So when we fall into this spiral of unworthiness, we feel separate from, and it's very difficult to feel gratitude for all that we do have. It's difficult to feel appreciation for our experience, especially if it's been a difficult experience that we are going through, or have been going through. Grammar. But yeah, we have to let go of the perfection, right? We are worthy simply because we are, simply because we exist. We are worthy. This is the lesson. This is the journey of returning to love, of remembering our true worth, of simply being. It is not attached to what we do. It is not attached to what we create. It is not attached to societal expectations and us living up to them. And that's a huge layer of the wound that we are working through, is not feeling enough because of societal expectations of the shoulds and the sense of not being taken seriously. That's a theme that's been really prevalent for me throughout my life, not feeling like I've been taken seriously. And this has been reflected by others as well that I have spoken with. It's a really deep core wound that many of us carry, that not enough, not good enough, and this sense of not being able to fit in with the normal societal expectations, of feeling that we need to fit the mold, and when we don't, we're suddenly not worthy, we're not good enough, we're not taken seriously perhaps. But what is normal? This society that's been created around us with these expectations, when I look at, now that I am where I am, I'm like, I don't want to be normal. That does not feel good for me, any of it. And when we are able to zoom out and look at people who are fitting into the mold, it doesn't really seem like many of them are very happy. So there's this quotation: it is no measure of health to be well adjusted to an insane society. And I could be butchering that ever so slightly, but that's the idea. What are we measuring ourselves against? Is that something that we actually want to live up to? A society that squashes creativity, that forces people to fit the mold. And if we don't fit that particular mold, that isn't even a healthy one, that isn't even a very expansive one, it's quite limiting, right? So what happens when we try to fit ourselves in that box is we constrict our energy, we limit our ability to receive, because we limit our ability to create in the way that feels aligned. So our sense of worth gets squashed down, it gets constricted. And when we are in that energy of constriction, it is the opposite of being open. We have to expand our container to be open to receive all that we are meant to receive. We are infinitely abundant. We are inherently worthy just because we are. We are a miracle of life. And just because we exist, we are worthy of abundance. We are worthy of love. We are worthy of receiving all that we desire. There's a lot of layers that go into this around detaching from the outcome and knowing that you are worthy of all that you desire and detaching from that. And then that's when it all flows in. And an image that came through for me recently was this: being an empty vessel, being completely emptied out so that our vessel is ready to receive the pure, divine gold and diamond abundance that is available to us. Our divine inheritance is simply waiting for us to clear out our vessels so that we are open to receive what is truly meant for us. We detach from the ego material realm, and then things begin to flow. What that actually looks like is going to be unique for all of us. But what we are being called to heal is this inherent root of unworthiness. My name, Amanda, means worthy of love. And this has been my biggest lesson throughout my lifetime. And what is love? It's a reflection of everything. It's the root of everything. So how we do one thing is how we do everything, right? So when we heal that worthiness wound, we open our containers to receive all the magic, all the beauty, all the joy that is available to us in this beautiful playground called Earth. So yes, it's been very heavy. Yes, there is a lot of collective darkness that we are working through and transmuting. I'm not denying that it's heavy, but we also get to shift that. We get to transmute this because we are now aware. of what it is that we are grappling with, and that we are more powerful. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. It is so much more powerful than the dark. Love is the creative force behind everything. And we are here experiencing separation so that we can experience the wholeness of life and all that it has for us, the wholeness of the experience. And through the contrast, we are able to appreciate all the beauty and the love and the joy and the abundance all the more. And then we get to transmute that darkness, bring it into the light, and it becomes a much fuller spectrum of light, like a rainbow light rather than an empty light, if you will, because we have, and it just saw 1111 as I finished that statement. Can't make this up, right? So this is what the journey is about, healing that separation. And the core wound of unworthiness, the source of that is the original separation from source. So I personally feel, and this is a whole other video, that a lot of the mental instability that a lot of people experience, the challenges, the disorders, I hesitate to use particular labels, but a lot of that is rooted in this original separation, the disconnection. And this is something that I will get into in another video. But when we can return to source, when we can return to love and remember that we are inherently divine and connected, and that we are an expression of love ourselves, of course we are worthy. Of course we are worthy of love because we are love. There is no separation. Of course we are worthy of abundance because we are innately, inherently, infinitely abundant, because we are expressions of infinite source possibilities. So then at that point, we are able to be filled back up with the light of the divine, with the divine abundance that is available to us, with our divine inheritance. So this is a very, very deep core wound that many of us are working through. And it does feel very heavy for a lot. So I'm sending you a lot of love. And I want to just remind you that you are not alone in this. None of us are alone. We are all experiencing the journey together. We have different ways of experiencing it. We have different versions of our experience that we are expressing. We are all the divine expressing through our unique manner, right? I had cancer years ago. I haven't experienced the same depths of depression as some other people have, although I have experienced bouts of it. I little glimpses of what that feels like. But we all have our unique ways of returning to love, returning to worthiness, returning to source. And yet there's commonality to all that we do experience. So remember that you are not alone, and the energies are intense, but they're here to assist us in working through and transmuting and releasing. And yes, some of us are here transmuting on behalf of the collective as well. So kudos to you for being here and doing that, because it's a lot. It's a big job. And we are not alone in the sense that our guides are here. Our higher self is here. We are never alone. Our angels, our guides, our ancestors, they are here. They're ready to be called on. But because we live in a world of free will, you have to call on them. They have to wait for you to be open to them to come in and assist many times. And yes, they are orchestrating in the background in many cases, but if you want direct guidance, you do have to ask for it, because it's a world of free will, and there is this layer of interference, and until you're ready and open for it, they cannot make their presence so directly known. But signs and synchronicities, once you stay open, you will start seeing those aligned numbers everywhere. Somebody asked me, how do you know? Well, it requires a great deal of trust. It's so much trust. How do you know? You stay open to receiving the signs, the knowings, the intuition. You go deeper and deeper into that trust. And yes, the self-doubt will come up. It's an ongoing journey. I have fallen into the self-doubt and confusion many times. I am not immune to it. I'm still working through some of those layers myself. And yet I see signs everywhere. On the call, when I was speaking to this particular individual, and she was like, how do you know? I was like, well, I just saw a red cardinal, and I haven't seen this cardinal in weeks now. And I always see that cardinal as a sign that my guides and ancestors are here watching over me. It would tap on my window every morning for months. And for weeks, it hasn't been around. Twice on that call, and I didn't see it again after. So then she laughed a little, and she was like, okay. So, it's going to look different for everyone, but they show up when we need them to and when we're open to it. Because she had opened to guidance on the call, she was more open to seeing and trusting the signs. And when we start to look around, there are aligned numbers everywhere. I see them all the time. And when we start to pay attention, we can begin to notice that the particular animals that we see, animal spirit guides, if we ask for a particular sign, that's a really helpful way, like a sea otter or something random, whatever it might be, an eagle, a snake. Sometimes those can be a little bit more common, maybe not those. So when you do start to see them, and you start to see them everywhere, maybe you should trust that. It's something to trust, right? So, I have found feathers. I've started finding actual physical roses in my reality a few years ago that guided me very directly on the priestess path. So stay open, just stay open. You never know. And I wasn't expecting it, I wasn't like, show me a rose. It was just that they started showing up everywhere after a session where a rose came through on an intuitive, energetic level. And I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden the roses were everywhere. And I was like, okay, got it. So it's interesting. A lot of people will shrug that off and poo-poo it and say, coincidence. Is it coincidence or is it synchronicity? The more you stay open, the more you realize it's not coincidence. It is synchronicity. It is signs that are being sent to help guide you, to help you deepen into that trust. So trust the process, trust your journey, and know that you are not alone. So I will be sharing a great deal more on these notions. There is a lot to share, but for now, this feels complete. So thank you for being here. Trust the journey. Sending you so much love, because it does require a great deal of courage to stay open, to keep trusting, because it is not easy. We are going through difficult times in humanity, but the light is there. The light at the end of the tunnel is shining brighter and brighter. Trust that, know that you are being held and guided, and even when it feels difficult, feel it and then allow it to be released. Allow it to be released. Work through the shame, work through the heaviness. And I will link a few resources below as well if you would like to go deeper. And please do comment. Feel free to reach out to me directly. You can email me, amanda@thisartcalledlife.com, and I will be sharing. I got the download pretty loud and clear that this is something that we need to dive into in more depth, this worthiness wound. So what that looks like precisely is unclear as of yet. Some kind of masterclass is what is coming through. So stay tuned for that. Send me a message if you're interested. You want to make sure that you hear the details when I do share that. So definitely reach out if that is something that speaks to you and you feel interested in. And yeah, it'll be it'll be a deep dive, but more of a one-off type immersion, but a deep immersion. So stay tuned, much more to share. If you haven't subscribed already, I would so appreciate the subscribe. There's just so much that came through to me this weekend, this morning. It's been constant. So I'm trying to wrap my mind around all of it, my mind and my heart, so that I can share in the most aligned and beneficial way possible. But I will be probably doing shorter videos. This one was longer than I anticipated, but again, so much that wants to come through. So appreciate those likes, those subscribes, those comments as well. I love to hear what you're going through, how this resonates for you. So again, I'll see you soon. Onward and upward in love and light. Sending you so much love.